Ladies and gentlemen, Gerald is about to come on and rock your world. This dude is a freaking powerhouse, and it's going to make a big difference for you to unlock that confidence, your greatest possible self. So before that, if you are an influencer, an entrepreneur, a purpose-driven entrepreneur, and you want to launch your podcast, I love doing it in 90 days. I eat problems like this for breakfast and help people get their message out and like transform their life. The 12-hour marathons made a huge difference for me and as well as the clients that I've worked with. So if you want to find out more how to launch your podcast, send me an email, chris@beyourgps.com, or find me on Facebook, facebook.com/th3burns, and let me know you're interested in your podcast and get your message out in a bigger way. Next up is the iTunes review of the week, and this week it's by Anthony A93. Anthony says, Chris the man burns. Every podcast episode gets better and better. Not only that, you can tell how present and interested Chris is in each of the experts he brings on his show. Thanks so much, Anthony. If you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store. Thanks so much in advance for doing that. And make sure you subscribe, give us a rating and review. Let us know how we can deliver even more massive value for you. I'm going to introduce Gerald in just a second here. Before that, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes because you are absolutely going to get some keys to the kingdom to unlock unlimited confidence. Stay from start to finish because you never know what one idea can transform the rest of your life. Let's introduce him and then we'll bring him on the screen. Mr. Gerald Rogers is a powerful and inspiring author, speaker, and thought leader that has been featured on the Today Show, Huffington Post, and TEDx. He is ruthlessly committed to awakening individuals to their purpose and helping them unlock their deepest potential. And we're blessed to have him here with us today. Gerald, are you ready to bring this fire? I know I already asked you that. You said yes. You said of course, right? You're born with it.
I'm so ruthlessly. I love that I added that word to, like, I love that word. Like, I'm ruthlessly committed to bringing and delivering some massive value to your people.
Dude, I love that. And thank you for like noticing that, because I think it's that stand. It's that powerful stand of I love activating people in their purpose, what you do, and I hate seeing people who are out of alignment, who are living purposeless, who are being a victim. And it's like, it's that polarity. It's the stand. Anybody who's willing to play the victim for the rest of their life and make excuses, you're not my people.
I know, and I love that. And I just want to take a moment before we get started just to acknowledge you, Chris. I know we've just barely began, connecting and getting to know each other, but I can already tell just from my brief interaction that you are that man that is like passionate about what he does and in alignment with his purpose. And I'm really enjoying your whole logo thing in the background that looks like these flames are shooting out of your being, and like you're like the embodiment of that fire phoenix energy. So I'm appreciating that. I'm excited to spend some time and just play with you guys today. So we're gonna have some fun.
Absolutely. We definitely are, Gerald. So let's dive right into the theme of the day, which is your powerful platform. What does that mean to you, that concept of a powerful platform?
Powerful platform. I think when I consider how each of us have a platform, basically it's a stance or place through which we lead. Where do we stand as leader in terms of our own movement? And I think that a lot of people are still searching to figure out where they stand as leaders, and sometimes, as we're getting started, we go spend some time on some other people's platforms and part of their movements and what they're creating. But for those of us that feel called to lead, that feel inspired to step up and to share our message, I really, for the last 10 years, I've been able to be a coach and speaker and lead over 100 transformational events. And for me, there's nothing in the world more fulfilling than being in that space of purpose, being a conduit for wisdom to flow through me and really getting out of my own way in service of the clients that I work with. And I think that platform for me is all about helping people to live big, helping people to be the fullest expression of who they are and sharing their gifts in the biggest possible way as they live as an expression of their ultimate divine potential.
Yeah. I love it. That's powerful, man.
That's what I do.
You're about to step onto a literal platform in what, an hour here? An hour and a half?
Yeah. So I've got they're setting up my event in here. So we've got about 60 people coming And
Dude,
the name
awesome.
of the event tonight
Congrats.
is Live Big, the Soul Expansion Evening. And it's just really about how far can we expand our souls and experiencing what's possible in our lives.
Woo! You can go and get it. It's going to be lit in there.
It always is. It always is.
I love it, man. So let's talk about your stand for people. Just give us a little bit more background. I mentioned it in the bio, but just in your own words, how are you activating and awakening people?
Well, I mean, when you look at it, what does this mean to awaken people? What is it that our mission and purpose is? For me, I feel like most people live in a space of reactive unconsciousness.
Yeah.
They spend their time each day going through routines, and very little new creative energy is pouring out from them. They wake up and they've got patterns, they've got habits of how they do life, and for me, awakening is really stepping out of the unconscious reaction in life, where we're responding to all these stimulus around us, and we actually step into being the creators of our life. For me, one of my core messages that I teach is this idea of being a conscious creator, really getting intentional with what is it that you want to create, what's holding you back from living that potential. And just like you mentioned earlier, like getting out of victim mindset, because victimhood, this reactive mindset, this unconsciousness, is what keeps people stuck. But all of us inherently have unlimited potential. All of us have these incredible gifts that lie dormant inside of us. And so this concept of awakening is, how do we activate those gifts within someone? How do we help them to see clearly who they truly are, so that they can start living as that conscious creator, recognizing that they are the source of their experience, and that what they're experiencing in their life isn't because of these external stimulus, it's because it's coming through them. And how do we awaken them to see these possibilities so they can see clearly? So awakening is really about seeing clearly. How it's done, I mean, that's the conversation we're digging into today. Like, how do you actually take someone from that unconscious victimhood into a space of conscious creation? How do you help them see the possibilities? How do you help them open up their heart and their mind to believe that something else is possible? I mean, that's and you've been helping people do that for a while now. You think you mentioned over 10 years. You've been doing it, over 100 live events, transformational events. I'm sure working with thousands of people over the course of these years. And I know it wasn't always like, you weren't always this masterful in being able to impact people. And I usually, our greatest pain is what spawns or creates and manifests our greatest gifts to the world. So I'd love to go back into your journey and talk about, how did you become a coach? What was it that inspired you to really take on this mission? And I love the question, and really it's such a constantly evolving journey, because I recognize that as much growth as I've done, as much time that I've invested, as much as I've invested into my own path and journey, like that's an ongoing journey, and I'm far from perfect, and I'm like this flawed exploration of like I'm just constantly in this journey of like messy living and loving every moment of it. But if I rewind back in time before I started actually living in alignment with my purpose, I studied art in college, and that's what I thought my purpose would be, and then I jumped into real estate investing because I thought I needed to get rich before I lived my purpose, right? And so I got caught in this whole cycle. It's like, I need to make money, I need to get rich. As soon as I'm financially free, then I can live my purpose. And then 2008, 2009 delivered me this amazing gift, which was utter, absolute financial ruin. 9 properties in foreclosure, $500,000 in debt, going through bankruptcy. And it was like devastating for me as a man, because I had 4 kids at the time, and I was trying to support, and for me, a lot of my identity at the time was based on being a provider and having money, and like a year before that, I thought I was like financially free, and then all of a sudden, boom, like everything's gone, and I'm way below zero. And so as I went through bankruptcy, the reason why I call it the gift, the universe delivered me this amazing opportunity to really ask some potent questions, which is, why am I doing this? What is it that I'm really committed to? Who is it that I'm committed to being? Like, what gift am I committed to living? And because of that, like, as painful as that experience was, and for those of you that are watching, I mean, probably there's a lot of you that have been through financial challenges or ruins or moments where you just had no idea how you were going to pay the bills or make it all work. For me, the gift in that experience was I made a decision that changed my life. And Tony Robbins just talks about how the quality of life is based on the quality of decisions we make and the quality of questions we ask. And so for me, that decision at that moment was a decision that says, I'm going to find a way to live my purpose and make a living doing it. Living my purpose is way, way, way more important than selling myself out to make money so that I can, provide. And I realized that I had been up to that point, what I affectionately call a prostitute for profit, selling my time, selling my energy, selling my life source, my life energy just for money. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to find a way to figure out what this gift is inside my heart, bring it out to the world, and I'm going to find a way to make money doing it.
So I got a quick question, because this is gold. You are a prostitute for profit. I love that. Everyone write that down. Make sure you're not being that. And the thing is, you discovered that you were doing something to get money. The focus was money. The purpose was money. The purpose was the end, and the means, the journey was not fulfilling. How did you know you weren't fulfilled in the journey? How did you know like you weren't living your purpose?
I mean, that's easy. I mean, everyone can know when you're not on purpose, because you experience stress, you experience resistance, you experience like fear, you experience just almost this dread of doing what you're doing. Like, when you're not on purpose. Inherently, everything in your DNA says, this sucks, I don't want to do it. When you're on purpose, you know what that feels like. This is how I know you're on purpose, Chris. It's you're lit up, you're on fire, you're inspired, you're excited, you're like got this huge smile, and you're like, yes, let's do this, right? That's how you know you're on purpose. And what's ironic is I saw some stat, like something like 67% of all Americans hate their jobs. Damn. Like, for me, this is like the ultimate tragedy on the planet, because the reality is this, and I want everyone out there accept this from the deepest part of love in my heart. For anyone that's like struggling and you hate your job and you dread going to work and all of this, like, understand that this is the coach in me. This is the man that loves you and understands and has compassion for that. But I'm also going to say it like it is. And I could tell you what you want to hear, or I could tell you what you need to hear. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You have a choice. You have a choice. You're not stuck. You're not limited. You don't have to stay stuck in a position that doesn't light you up. You don't have to be with a company that you don't believe in. Now, I'm not saying go jump and quit your job. That's not what I'm saying. Because your choices are either, number one, find alignment with your purpose and where you're at, like bloom where you're planted, find a way to activate your purpose within that responsibility you have, or realize you live in America. You live in a free world. You have choice. There are millions of opportunities out there on how to make money. And so if you're not in alignment with your purpose, like, step up, take command of your life, start living the life you're meant to live. And of course, that's a courageous choice, but it's also the most important choice you can make as a human being, because when you look back on this choice, 50 years from now, and you're on your deathbed, you're going to look back and you're going to be in one of two places. You're either going to be looking back and thinking, wow, I'm so glad I listened to Gerald and just decided to man up and find a way to live my purpose. Yeah. Or you're going to be thinking back, oh, damn, I wish I would have spent my life living my purpose. I wish I would have listen to that crazy blue-haired guy and Chris as they were talking about this, because I just wasted another 50 fucking years of my life. Doing this, doing something I didn't love, and really, like, you have a choice. So stop being a victim, and like, I'm not saying it's always easy, because it's possible that you're locked in by these golden handcuffs, where you have to provide, for your family and for these things. And you might be getting paid really, really well for being a prostitute. You might be. Yeah. But if it's not in alignment with your purpose, you gotta really look at that seriously.
There's no excuse or justification that's big enough to say, okay, I'm not going to live my purpose. I'm just going to keep putting up with it. Because like you said, at the end of life, that pain, that regret, that, like feeling of, man, I wish I would have done it different, that will outweigh every positive that you could be getting right now. And I love how you said it's a choice. And I think the biggest thing to focus on is it's a choice of, am I open to finding a better way, or am I closed off and saying, nope, there's no solution, I can't be helped, I'm stuck, and that's like the victim mentality.
Yeah, and I need to underscore and emphasize this. Like my work, like the majority of my work I spend working with purpose-driven entrepreneurs, people that have a calling, that want to be entrepreneurs, want to grow their business. I work mostly with other coaches and speakers and consultants and people that have a mission and a message that they want to share. But here's the deal, like not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. There are a lot of skills that you have to master, a lot of hats that you need to wear, and there's a lot of risk that you need to face. So I'm not necessarily saying being an entrepreneur is for everyone. There's a fantasy about being an entrepreneur, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of pieces, and you have to be committed to mastering all those pieces and practicing and becoming better and better at all those. Yeah. But even beyond that, there's so many other businesses that already exist that you might be able to bring your gifts and align with your mission and serve people in a meaningful way. So there's lots and lots and lots of ways to find and explore your purpose. I think it might be interesting, Chris, just to have the conversation with people is like, how do you know what your purpose is?
Yeah, let's dive in, man.
Yeah, and I'm curious if you have some thoughts on that you would like to share in terms of for people out there that are struggling and they know that they're in work that is uninspiring. If they're part of the 67% that hates their job, how do they even know what their purpose is?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to give yourself permission to find what lights you up. You know, you mentioned I got this big old smile on my face. I'm loving this. But I wasn't always like this. I was miserable in college doing what I thought I was supposed to do, trying to fit in. And I ended up finding my self-expression through like partying and, going wild and crazy and getting into trouble. And it's like that was not my greatest possible self. So I had to figure out, what am I passionate about? What do I love doing? How can I harness my joy? I really loved video games, and I understood that I loved growing, I loved evolving, I loved becoming my greatest possible self in the video games. I loved team-based sports, so I knew I wanted to be around other people and hang out with people and spend my time with people rather than be alone. And so I just started piecing these things together. So I think for people who are listening, what are you passionate about? What lights you up? What could you do forever without even getting paid? And how do you actually transfer that skill, that ability, that what you're doing, and turn it into something that gets you paid, a passion that makes you money?
Yeah, I love that. Hey, I have to introduce you to someone real quick.
Yeah.
This is one of my new friends. His name's Delon.
What's up, Delon?
So you're being broadcast all over the planet right now.
Oh, wow.
Delon's a great example. Delon's 80 years old right now, and
wow.
He's just stepping into the next phase of his purpose as he's learning to speak and train and share his message. And he was super successful with Amway and built an empire there, over 65,000 people that he was able to lead and support with that. And now he's like, okay, what's next? What can I build next? So anyways.
You're a powerhouse, Delon.
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce him. He's here for my event. So anyways, yeah, those are really potent ideas that I really value from you, Chris. And the way that I condense it, and for everyone, like you want some really powerful takeaways, write these 5 questions down. These 5 questions will unveil your purpose. And sometimes we have this like big imaginary idea thinking that, oh my gosh, our purpose is a big grandiose thing and we're waiting for God to reveal it and the heavens to part and these angels to come down and say, oh, all right, Chris, you are now worthy of living your purpose, and hand you like this big golden scroll with all the, exactly what you should be doing. And it just doesn't work. Like, I mean, I know I experienced that, but I don't think it's fair for everyone to expect that. But it's funny, like sometimes people think, oh my gosh, mission, purpose, it feels so overwhelming and so huge and like it's almost too big of a question for people to take on. But my philosophy is this: there are clues all around you every day that let you know whether you're living in alignment with your purpose. And so these 5 questions are really nothing more than questions to help you see those clues. And then from those clues, it's like this breadcrumb trail that shows you exactly which path you should be going on and whether you're in alignment with your purpose or not. So write these questions down and take some time to really think about it. The first question, like you mentioned, Chris, is what lights you up? What lights you up? What gets you excited? What inspires you? What motivates you? What are you so excited about? You know, and translating that to work, like what would you do? Which would you love doing? That even if you didn't get paid at it, you would love just doing and serving. Like if you're not lit up and inspired and having fun and enjoying doing it, it's not your purpose. Right? And I'm not saying it's always easy. Like the work I do, it's not always easy to put on the events and to market and to sell and to enroll and to fulfill. Like there's some things that, you know, are legitimate. It's a lot of work, but I love it. And I can't imagine doing anything else. And it gets me excited. And it, like, I even interviews like this, like I'm so passionate. I love having these conversations and creating this, right? So number 1, what lights you up? What gets you excited? Number 2, what are you great at? Like, what are your natural gifts? What are your natural talents? What are those things that come easily for you that other people might struggle with? You know, for some people it's art, some people it's music, some people it's technical data and strategic thinking. For some people it's relating to people, and some people it's sales, and some people like Chris, you and me, like we're communicators, like communicating, speaking, delivering a message. It's like inherent in our soul. Being on stage or being on experiences like this, it's like it's super easy for us because it's something we've cultivated and we've developed talent around, but it's also part of a natural God-given gift, right? So what are you naturally great at? Number 3, what are you passionate about learning? What are you passionate about becoming better at and learning about? And with this, I want you to imagine that you went to Barnes & Noble and you just started walking around the nonfiction section of Barnes & Noble. Which books would you naturally be gravitating towards? What are the things you love learning about? What are the seminars and workshops that you can't get enough of? Like when you're talking with friends, like who are the people you just love asking questions from and just finding out like what is it that you want to become great at and what do you want to learn about? That's a huge clue. Number 4 is what have you already invested time and energy in learning about? Like you've already invested so much time and energy in your life becoming great and developing competency, and that also is helpful for you to know like how you can serve the world and how you can share.
Yeah, this is great because I invested so much time into video games, and someone might feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything that I've invested my time and energy into that's worthwhile. And it's like there's always a seed of greatness within it. For me, I love video games, and I recognize, wow, I spent 10 years of my life, and I told myself a story. I didn't get anything out of that. And then after further maturation, I recognize, wow, I got tons of strategy, ability to process information quickly, and just like all these skills from video games, quick decision making. So I got these skills from video games that I had totally taken for granted. And because of that, I was ashamed, I was guilty, and it felt like one of my greatest joys took my power away. So look at the things that you love, and whether it's, watching Seinfeld and knowing about that and laughing at these different jokes or whatever that is for you, what have you already invested your time and energy into? A lot of people watch shows, and that's their forte. How can you really use that being a knowledge buff about shows or movies to your advantage, Yeah,
and it's really valuable to look at that because you've gone through school, you've gone through this path of experiences that have led you to where you're at, and there's a reason for that. And it's interesting, even with video games, because I talk to a lot of kids these days that are just passionate about video games. That's all they want to do. and part of me is just like, okay, and like what? But the reality is, video games is probably a $50 billion industry. So there's plenty of opportunity to make a ton of money if that's your passion.
Yeah.
Right. Same's true with golf. Same's true with basketball or all these other, like all of these things are industries where if you're passionate about that, great. Find a way to add more value. But the distinction when it comes to turning it into a business versus just a hobby. And you can have your purpose just be hobby and just be like something you do because you love it. Yeah. But if you actually want to turn it into business, then you have to switch from being a consumer to a creator.
Yeah.
Right? You have to stop from being the guy just playing the video games to the guy that's creating them and adding value there, from being the guy that is always attending seminars to the guy that's putting them on, to from the guy that, you know, is reading books to the guy that's writing books. Like, you have to change from a consumer to a creator. So so I've given you 4 questions. I'm actually going to give you 2 more. The next question is, who are the people you feel passionate about serving? Who do you want to help? What are the causes you want to be involved with? How do you want to like contribute and give back to the world? And then the final question, this is kind of a bonus question, but it's perhaps the most potent of all the questions, which is this, is what challenges have you had to overcome in your life that you would love to help other people overcome? So for me, because I've had to go through the challenge of starting up a business, I'm super passionate about helping other people shortcut that, because I've had to figure out how to share my message. I'm super passionate about helping other people to do that, because I've gone through divorce and these like really heartbreaking things. Like, I've developed like a unique capacity and skill to help other people that are going through the same thing, you know? And so maybe you've heard this quote before, but I think it's really relevant. Oftentimes our mess is what becomes our message. It's those challenges, it's those obstacles that shape us into a person that has unique gifts and strengths that we can serve other people. And then here's the 3 master criteria that you need to look at. Answer all those questions, get really clear, but these are the 3 master keys. First, your purpose will bring you joy. If it doesn't bring you joy, it's not your purpose, period. Just end of story. Like, if it doesn't bring you joy, you're pursuing the wrong path. It has to bring you joy. Yeah. Number 2, it has to bring you growth. Yeah. Cause you to grow and expand, because the essence of life is growth. The essence of life is expansion. The essence of life is becoming better. This is what lights us up and fuels us the most. And then the 3rd key is you have to contribute. Your purpose has to be a way that you give back to people around you. You align your whatever you do with those 3 things, brings you joy, causes you to grow, makes you contribute. Boom, you're in line with your purpose. And then I see that in you, Chris. For me, I know that. Like, when I'm doing this event tonight, I have 60 people there. I'm so excited. Like, it lights me up. Like, there's no movie in the world I'd want to go to, no other sporting event. There's nowhere else in the world I'd want to be other than here, because I'm so excited. It's so fun for me. Number 2, like, it stretches me every time I teach, every time I speak, every time I'm like, I have these new distinctions. I'm expanding, I'm growing, I'm developing and nurturing more confidence within me. And then the 3rd key is like, it's my way of giving back to the planet. It's my way of contributing and changing lives. And there's nothing more fulfilling than at the end of the events having people say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this meant to me.
This is gold, man. It's so interesting that you say those 3. Brings you joy, purpose brings you joy, purpose brings you growth, and also your purpose has to contribute. My 3 core values are joy, growth, and love. You know, and I think contribution is a form of love, and it's so fascinating. You know, like
that's why you're in alignment with your purpose. That's why everyone that sees you and watches you do the show, they get it. Like, this is a man that is living what he's supposed to be living, right? And what's beautiful is, like, when you actually translate that into like what I call being a purpose-driven entrepreneur, or living your purpose. And once again, you don't need to own your own business to have this entrepreneurial mindset, but being a purpose-driven entrepreneur is translating all of that purpose into a way that you're solving problems for other people. You're contributing to the world, and you're getting paid for that, right? And the reality is, with those same things that light you up, that bring you happiness, bring you joy, bring you growth, and help you contribute, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of ways in which you could live that purpose, right? Totally. And this is what I need to emphasize is our purpose isn't something set in stone. It's not something that is completely, like, it's not written in stone. Like, you can change it, which is really beautiful, because during different times of my life, my purpose has been different. For some time it was being an artist. For some time it was, growing a real estate business. For some time, it was like coaching people on how to grow a real estate business. And then it was how to, coach people on personal, like my message, my purpose has shifted in terms of its packaging based on different iterations of my soul.
Totally. That's cool.
But you have to just be willing to lean in and choose your purpose every day.
You definitely should write that quote down. that was good. The packaging of your purpose will change dependent on the iteration of your soul, or something like that.
I love that. And once again, I've probably never said that before. And sometimes when I'm like speaking, I'm like, damn, someone should write this down. This is good stuff. But that for me is how I know I'm in alignment with my purpose, because it's like source flows through me.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not about what's in my mind. It's about what's in my heart, and just trusting that it's almost like I become a conduit for the universe or God. I just become a vessel for whatever flows through me. And that's what I love. Even my 3-day events, I got a 3-day event called Live Big. Anyone that's out there that wants like 3 days of outrageous inspiration and learning how to unlock unlimited confidence, join me for those 3 days. I promise your life will never be the same. But for me, I honestly, my most powerful events is when I don't do any planning. All the preparation is me clearing out of my own way, getting out of my agenda, and just showing up as this ultimate conduit to serve. And this conversation started talking about how to unlock unlimited confidence. And here's what I can tell you. I mean, the shortcut is when you're tuned into source, you're unstoppable. When you are acting in cooperation with God, how could you not be fiercely and unapologetically powerful? It's when you're operating from your own ego and you're worried about other people's judgment and you're trying to figure it out on your own that life really is challenging. And it's super easy to be insecure if you're trying to do it on. But when you're connected and dialed in with source, when you're on fire with your purpose, you're unstoppable. And it's practice. It takes time to cultivate that confidence. Once again, if we could rewind back in time, Chris, the very first podcast you ever did,
man,
I have a feeling we'd see a drastic difference between that version of Chris and this version of Chris, right?
Definitely.
How would you describe that version of Chris versus how you feel and how you are today?
It's just so uncertain, shaky, unconfident, not being present with the difference that I'm making, but rather being in my own head, judging how am I looking, how am I showing up, am I really making a difference, doubts, questioning. I think that all that stuff will be going in the background while I'm attempting to maintain a cool, calm exterior.
Yeah, and so part of this confidence formula that we explore at Live Big is how do you actually develop the expertise and the experience? How do you make it so that you are in your element doing what you feel called to do? Because I actually just thought of this last week. This idea of write this down. Suck, SUCK, seed, SEED, right? Succeed. What the only way to succeed is to be willing to suck, right?
Yeah.
The seeds of success come from being willing to suck. If you want to be great at anything, you must be willing to suck at it first.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge. Most people don't want to suck. They want to have it all figured out the first time. But I guarantee the first time Tiger Woods ever picked up a golf club, he sucked. He was probably 2 years old at that time, but he sucked, The first time LeBron James ever picked up a basketball, right? Once again, he was probably 1 year old, 2 years old. But we all begin somewhere. The first time Gary Vee ever did a podcast, I guarantee he sucked. The Gary, all of us, we all suck at the beginning. But how much are you willing to suck if you want to succeed? So anyways, that's succeed. I just thought of that.
That's gold, man.
And I'm kind of proud of it. This is the first time I've ever shared my succeed formula.
Turn your suck into succeed.
Succeed, that's right.
That's awesome.
But this idea is really present and prevalent. It's you want to gain confidence at something, great. Be willing to be horrible at it.
Yeah. Yep.
and keep doing it until it becomes your domain. It becomes your place of ease and flow. Like for me, first events that I did, I mean, they really, I don't know, they were still pretty good, but but I was super inadequate, and I was lacked a lot of confidence, and I didn't know what I was doing. Now it's my domain, you know, like now I step into a room, it doesn't matter how many people are there, I'll own that room, right? Because I've been there and I've done that so many times, and so I have utter, absolute, undeniable confidence in that realm. Now put me in another situation, put me in a loud, crazy, noisy bar. That's not my element. I'm going to feel really awkward. I'm going to feel really uncomfortable. But there's going to be some other guy that's like the alpha of that room that just dominates, right? And bars are his element, you know? Yeah. Same thing in corporate setting. Like if I was in a corporate setting and we're talking about, you know, aeronautic supplies, I'd be like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I would be completely lost. But for another person, that's their element. That's their place of ultimate confidence. But it comes from immersion into that experience over and over and over again.
And so what is a practical way to immerse oneself? It's obviously doing the thing, but is there any distinctions or things?
I think this is really relevant. And let me give you like a specific example. But the reality is you have to figure out what you actually want to be great at first.
Yeah.
If you want to live your purpose, what do you want to be great at? And if you want to be a purpose-driven entrepreneur, what are the skills you need to master? So for instance, you're going to need to master the ability to communicate. You're going to need to master the ability to market. You're going to need to master the ability to sell and enroll people in your vision. Yeah. These are all skills. No one's born with the, I'm an awesome salesperson gene. Oh, it's all nurtured. It's all developed. Some people might be more natural communicators. Some people might have a more naturally engaging and influential personality. But ultimately, it's skills that need to be developed. So number one, first and foremost, identify what is it you want to be great at. And then number two, you have to go to that place in your mind first. Imagine and then proactively visualize that experience. And here's an interesting study I heard once. They took two groups of basketball players, and one group of basketball players, they had them shoot something like 100 free throws a day, right? And then they took another group of basketball players and they had them simply imagine that they were shooting 100 perfect free throws a day, right? And then after a month, they took these people and they evaluated their progress and their growth. And the people that just imagined perfectly throwing 100 free throws, they had improved more than the people that actually were like, and that just shows the power of mind. You know, I'm not saying it should stay in your mind, because you should go out and do something, but it begins by creatively visualizing and imagining you being the type of person that can do that thing, that can be world class at that. You know, sometimes we hear this idea, act as if. I don't know if I don't believe in the idea of fake it till you make it. I just be it so you can become it, right? Just own it. Like believe that you are that, so that you operate from that mindset or that paradigm. But the third thing is intentionally practice, right? Really intentionally put yourself in a place where you're practicing and you look at every opportunity to grow. So just as an example, like when I was first getting into, like I felt a calling to share my message. I was that guy that was so nervous. Like I would speak at church, my knees would be shaking and I'd be reading my talk and I'd be looking down and like I was so awkward and so nervous and like so outrageously shy, right? But I knew that this was part of my calling, what I wanted to do. And so I made the decision, wow, I want to be a great communicator. And I started looking, who can I model? Tony Robbins is a guy that I feel like is perhaps the best communicator on the planet. Like I really love him, and I'm actually in his Platinum Partnership program right now. And like I'm heavily investing in learning as much as I can from this master who spent like the last 42 years being a pioneer in this industry, right? Yeah. So, but even like 11 years ago, before I started doing my first event, I knew that I wanted to learn how to communicate. Yeah. And so I made that decision, and I started. Here's what I did, just so you can see like a real practical example of this. So what I would do is I had one of those old iPods back then at that time, you know, with the old dial, you know, and I had downloaded Tony Robbins' Personal Power, And I would go and I would listen to it through my headphones. And I would go to a park near my house in Oviedo, Florida. And every morning I would go for a quick run, and then I would go to the park. And then I would imagine in my mind's eye that I was speaking in front of a group of 4,000 people. Every morning I would do this. And I would just listen to Tony Robbins, and I would walk around pretending I was Tony Robbins. I would use my hands, I would use my body language, I would pause, and I would just be pacing on the stage and really engaging and my trying to model is into it. I was just repeating everything he was saying that was coming through my ear, but I was saying it with the same passion, same force, same inflections that he was doing. Yeah. And I did that over and over and over and over and over and over again. I would do it when I would drive and just find just different mentors that I wanted to model. Earl Nightingale and Bob Proctor and all these people that I really looked up to. And it did two things. Number one, it internalized the content for me. But it made me so I was so comfortable so that when I actually did my first event, I ended up having like 250 people at my first event. Wow. And prior to then, I'd be terrified. But at that point, because I had been doing this for about a month, I was like, oh, this is no big deal. I'm used to speaking to 4,000 people. Because I'd been there over and over again. Like, I'm used to speaking to 4,000 people. This is easy. It's just a tiny little audience of 250 people. Yeah. So that's a great example of intentionally putting yourself in that practice. So you develop that competency. So you develop that courage and just hitting these one more time. Number one, decide what you want to be great at. Number two, find people that you can model. Number three, go there in your mind, creatively visualize you doing it. And number four, just practice, intentionally practice. And still, even though I've got this event coming on tonight, I've done well over 100, 150 events over the last 10 years. But I still look at each event as like a practice. I'm just practicing. I'm not attached to things going wrong. Like, sure, things are going to work, things are going to not work, and every single time I'm like, okay, how can I do it better? Yeah. How can I deliver more of myself? And it's practice. That's all it is.
What would you say has changed the most since before you started doing live events till now, in terms of how you view it? Practice is one of them. Anything else changed that's big?
I mean, at the beginning, like I would like script out like my presentations. I would create like a really strict agenda of all the things I wanted to cover. I was really like, I would practice and I would, remember and I was really stuck in my head. Now I just have implicit trust that everything I need to train is going to come through me. But it's also happened because I've spent 10 years cultivating my content. Yeah. So I can step into an event for 3 days and I can train it with zero notes, zero preparation, like zero
unconscious.
It's just like I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I have implicit trust in my competency and my ability to do it. And I've got probably a month worth of content archived in my mind, and I'm always open for new upgrades to come through me. Does that make sense? So that's the biggest difference is at the beginning, like I had to really are you familiar with like the 4 stages of growth? Unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence. For me, honestly, like now there is a level of unconscious competence where it's just super easy. But at the beginning, there was a lot of thinking that went involved. But yeah, it's been a journey.
It's powerful. What is one of the most fulfilling things for you in living your purpose today in your business or how you work with people or speak?
The first thing that comes to mind, honestly, I love the events. I love the experiences we create. Like, they're so fun. They're so much fun. Like, I love them. And part of it is because I have no idea what exactly is going to happen, but I know it's going to be magical. Like, I love that. And one of the things I do as part of my events is I actually, one of my core messages is teaching people to unlock the power of their mind. And so I do a power of the mind hypnosis show. So I do a stage hypnosis show where I bring people up, and it's not like, I mean, it's hilarious. It's like funnier than anything you'll see in Vegas, but I'm also teaching principles throughout the whole experience. So it's life transforming entertainment and education at the same time. So it's fun. But like, that's a great example. I never have any idea what's going to happen in the show, because every show is different, because you have all these different characters. So, I mean, I love the crazy uncertainty that I experience there. But when it really comes down to it, the first thing that came to my mind is one of my favorite things is I love doing just ultra high-end retreats. So for instance, we've got this spiritual adventure retreat that we're doing in Bali. And so we're going to be spending a week there with all of our high-end clients, and spending a week doing yoga and meditation and deep diving into the world of consciousness and just evolution, and really helping them align with source creation, and helping them really discover how powerful they are. Like, it's the most amazing thing. And we've done retreats in Costa Rica and Kenya and, Mexico, Hawaii, like all over the place. But Bali's my favorite place I've ever done a retreat. So I'm excited to go back there. But that's what lights me up the most is, like, for me, it's all about how do I create the experiences that I'm most excited about? And then how do I bring other people into that journey with me that also would feel inspired about experiencing that too? And it's so deeply life-changing and so outrageously fun, which are, the core motivators in my life. My whole motto is, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. Like, I am not wasting my time with something that doesn't light me up and isn't fun. And so I'm fortunate that I've been able to find a way to create a business that allows me to travel all around the world and have these crazy once-in-a-lifetime experiences. We call them once-in-a-lifetime experiences 4 times a year.
That's right. Because you're the creator, right? Creator
it's like,
of your reality.
Why wouldn't I want to do that? Like, why would I spend my time? Like, why would I spend my time in a freaking cubicle when I could be, hanging out in Bali, meditating with some of my favorite people?
That's right. And you had to develop the ability to, like, lead yourself to be able to lead others to that place. You're the facilitator, you're the leader, you're the person bringing it all together. And it took time to develop you, the being that is Gerald Rogers today, to facilitate that transformation.
Exactly, and I'm still in that process. Like I said, I invested over $100,000 to work with Tony Robbins this year, so that I could go on his events and his experiences. And I've spent a month in a yoga and meditation retreat in India with an enlightened master. I've done 10 days of silence. I've probably spent over by now $500,000 investing in my own growth. So that I can serve people, so that I can, and I'm going to keep investing over and over and over again.
Yep.
Why? Because you're right. You can only lead people to the degree that you've been willing to go yourself.
Yeah. That's so powerful. If you could give everyone in the world a quality or a characteristic, what would be the one thing that you grant every person in the world?
I would say faith and resilience, and kind of combining them together, because the reality is, I think every one of us sees these possibilities for us, but it's so easy for people to give up in pursuit of what they want, right? The moment they get a rejection, they quit. The moment things get hard or uncomfortable, they quit. The moment that, their mom says, you shouldn't do that, or that's dangerous, they quit, And resilience is this ultimate factor where you have faith in where you're going. You believe in yourself enough that you're willing to overcome, and you're willing to believe in your dreams more than other people's fears.
Yep.
And I really want to anchor that in, because there's so many people that just don't pursue their dreams or don't live their dreams because other people have shown up to, tear them down or make them believe that they can't. So faith and resilience, I think, are the two things that I believe would be the biggest asset for anyone to live their purpose, and also the greatest gift for the world, because each one of you, like you that are watching, like I'm speaking to you, you have a gift. There's a reason why you're here on the planet. You have a unique soul signature that the world deserves to hear. And do you have the courage to bring that to life, even if it's hard, even if you have to work weekends, even if people reject you, even if people think you're crazy? Do you have the faith and resiliency to bring that gift to life, regardless of the resistance that you face?
That journey can suck sometimes.
Succeed,
I'm just like,
baby, succeed.
Yeah, just like I'm present to, there's all these beautiful moments and teachings about like being in the moment, appreciating what you got. And I believe that we're here to have a contrasting experience of noticing what we really enjoy and love and what lights us up, and then the other side of it too. And it's really just being able to roll with the punches and being able to respond like we were talking about in the very beginning, just choosing your response, being the creator rather than a victim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a journey. And that's the thing that I just emphasize to everyone. It's not like a magic wand experience. Like you have to keep choosing it over and over again. And it's going to evolve, it's going to change. Some days are going to be easy, some days are going to be hard, but it's a journey, and learning how to appreciate that journey. And just realizing, like, once again, your fulfillment isn't going to come by any destination. There's no single destination that will provide lasting, eternal fulfillment. It's that journey, it's that process, it's a day-to-day growth and expansion that is critical. And so there
might be one destination, here and now.
Yeah, and you're already there. You're already at the only place that can actually give you fulfillment. So right. Why not choose that?
Yeah, man. Awesome. So, dude, I want to recap final takeaways for our audience. I know you got an event to get to. What's the big thing you really want our audience to get and implement because of this interview?
Big thing I want you to design and implement. I want to introduce you real quick to my event manager. This is Lynette.
Hey.
She's like, I have no idea what's going on, but hey. All right. Sorry. Okay. So there's 5 questions I gave you in terms of identifying and living your purpose.
Yeah.
Take time. Take an hour. Go through those questions. Really have a moment of brutal honesty with yourself and ask, how well am I living my purpose? And be willing to be honest with yourself, because it's only in those moments of honesty that we can make a new decision. And in those new decisions, that's where our destiny is made. You do that and make some bold decisions, your whole future could be different. Or you might realize that you're totally on track. You might realize that you're totally inspired. You might realize that, oh my gosh, I'm doing amazing. I'm lit up, I'm having purpose, I'm fulfilling my work. Everything's amazing, which is awesome. Or you might realize, wow, there's some real growth to focus on. And then just make that commitment, make that commitment to succeed, to make that commitment to keep going forward. And I'm just going to, once again, just remind you that it's a journey, and it's really important that you find mentors and people that can support you in shortcutting that. And that's the reason why I do Live Big and my other events, is because I'm passionate about helping people shortcut that path so that they can get to where they want to be.
Well, this is gold, man. There's tons of great questions, really powerful coaching in here for anyone who's tuned in and stayed with us. And if you did, like, give yourself a pat on the back, because it's so important to finish what you start. And I think it's like the little things, like finishing a podcast episode, finishing, a journal entry, finishing a chapter in a book, whatever it might be. Celebrate those things, and it's super empowering. And then, Gerald, how can people stay connected with you? What are the next steps that they can take on the journey with you, man?
Yeah. So you can always follow me on Facebook, Gerald Rogers. I'm pretty easy to find. I've got that obnoxious blue hair, so there's not too many of us blue-haired Gerald Rogers is out there. But then for those of you that are listening to this conversation, you're like, okay, I really am committed to stepping more into alignment with my purpose. I'm really committed to unlocking the potential in my mind. I'm really committed to stepping into more unlimited confidence. Then I'm going to give you an invite to come to our next Live Big. And we've got really, really cheap discounted tickets right now. Our next one actually comes up in just a week, but we have another one coming up in June as well. And I'm just going to give you the email for my team. Just reach out to them, because right now online, you'd have to pay full price. But if you email our team, we're going to give you a crazy special discount where you can come for 70% off the ticket price, just as a guest of Chris Burns. But email livebig@prosperitysummit.com. So once again, livebig@prosperitysummit.com. livebig@prosperitysummit.com. I always feel like I need to spell it because as simple as those words feel like to me, it's just like, well, people add too many letters or whatever. So anyways, email it and we'll give you an invite, a special invite, on behalf of Chris and me. And the reason why we want to give you that special is just because I know the importance of immersion in our journey of transformation and really immersing ourselves into stepping into our potential. And I would love, if anything I've shared with you resonates with you, I love to share my gifts with you to support you in your journey in living your purpose and potential.
Yeah, dude, Gerald, you are on fire. You're ignited, man. Thank you for showing up today with us. You're going to rock your event. And anyone who's tuning in, email livebig@prosperitysummit.com. Make it happen. Get to the next event. And Gerald, I appreciate you, man. Keep doing the amazing work that you're doing, living your purpose
Chris,
with joy, with fun, all of it, man.
Love it. Love it. You're awesome. Look forward to getting to know you better. And take care, everyone. Just remember, you got one life to live. Live big.
That's right. Live big, baby. See you soon, Gerald.